Good day everyone, thank you for dropping by and watching my video. So today we're going to talk about the new reward cards that was just released yesterday, and what I will plan to do here in this discussion is just focus specifically on the base cards, right? So there are different levels, different stats, different abilities that will pop up once you start upgrading these cards, but right now I just want to keep it at the base level where most of the players are, where new players are trying to get into the game, and I myself am trying to get through. I'm trying to get through gold at the moment, but I'm still stuck at silver 1. I do manage to get to gold 3, but I keep getting pushed down. So that's the part where I'm still also struggling myself. But I'm thinking about trying to invest more into the game and see if I can get better cards. So for now, we're just gonna talk about the base cards, the level 1 ones, and how well would it impact you, or no, based on my understanding and my own recommendation. Are they worth it? Which ones are worth to get, if in case you don't have the patience to wait and get those free cards from the loot chests. So I guess here's a quick run through. So every card that they released, they put in 3 for each splinter, including neutral. So that would equate to the total of 21 cards. So first off, let's go through the fire set. So exploding rats, I would put it as the high recommend one if you want to get this card. It's the only downside here is low life, but it has decent damage, great speed, has blast, and well, costly, yes, but the effect is kind of great, and this pretty much guarantees you a first attack, and that first attack can matter quite a bit when you're playing against low cost games, and low cost games tend to have low low HP units. So this might be good. The other downside I'm also looking at here is that it doesn't have either stealth or opportunity. So attacking the front line sometimes doesn't really do much. But the 2 damage and plus the combination with the plus damage from your summoner, it could be a strong one. So I'm thinking this might be a good pick. The second one, of course, is the epic lava launcher. A bit more expensive, definitely, if you're going to the market, but no question on this unit. This is very strong. If you use this at high mana fights, definitely it's a shoe-in, no questions asked. But in most cases, tendency is I guess I'd say maybe 70%, 80% of the fights that you would have would tend to be around 20 or below mana. So sometimes you can't just use it. It's a nice card, but it'll be just props. You can't use it most of the time. So that's why I'm not really putting this as a high recommendation, but definitely a good recommendation for high mana fights. Then lastly, Venery Heatsmith. If we're just looking at the base card, just use Cerberus. That's all I can see. I mean, at the higher rank, this card might be a bit strong, but in the current layout, I don't really see any other options for it. Just go for Cerberus. It's a bit more expensive, 1 mana more, but it has heal 5 health and 2 attack. No questions. Yeah, I don't really recommend getting this one if you don't plan to upgrade it. All right, then let's go for Death. So I'm a fan of Death. So I'm really happy to see that they put in Heartclaw. It's a very strong tank. It's the only tank in Death that has a default shield ability. So there are 2 others. One is a Skeleton Knight. I think it's the low mana card that you need to upgrade to a certain level just to get that shield effect. And there's also the I forgot the name. It's also a strong card, but you need to also upgrade that card to get that shield effect as well. So if you're just looking at the base card, definitely if you can get this, then it's a very strong one that you can use for death builds. The second one is the Pellicer Deceiver. Well, right now for me, I'm just looking at health, attack, and so on. For me, I'm just saying just use Haunted Spirit by default. You don't need to chase after this card. I mean, Haunted Spirit has 2 attacks, 7 health, and I think 2 speed, and it has heal. And for me, that should be more than good enough. This one, however, might be better at higher rank because it has the Backfire ability. So the Backfire ability is a new ability that they introduced into the game as well. And what it does is every time you miss an attack, it will deal 2 damage to that unit, whatever that unit is. So as long as they miss, which is a great skill actually. So having this flight actually contributes to that percentage miss. And if you can, manage to get the speed on higher, like use a slime for example, then definitely this is going to be, a bit of a better tank in the higher level fights. So at the base level, I'm just gonna say use Haunted Spirit, and at higher levels, yeah, maybe you can start considering this. This one, I'm not really a big fan of Leech, honestly, because of the low health start on most units, and they tend to get sniped, or they tend to get killed off immediately. Now this one has a better stat compared to some Leech units, right? So, but in my perspective, I think you're just better off using Jester. I don't know. I mean, it's 1 damage that you can leech off 1 HP. It's not gonna break the game in the early game. I think for me, just Jester is just more than good enough. 2 damage, 4 health, 3 speed. It's really strong. But this one, I don't know. For me, it's not something I would pick immediately. Alright, the next for Nature, Earth. So this one is the new legendary. So Jin Bilka or something like that. The stats doesn't really look nice, but the cost and the camouflage actually makes it look really good. And for me, it's just because of the camouflage. The reason why is, of course, as I mentioned in my previous video, is that camouflage will allow this unit to not get attacked by opportunistic units or stealth units, or sneak units, I mean. So definitely this card will survive. Just put it in the back line, then it will survive the entire fight. Then it will just keep dishing out the damage, and who knows, maybe this card might just carry you there, right? So right now, the only downside I see here is if there's if there's a situation where the game has explosion, or your enemy tends to use Jotun, then definitely you don't use this card. This card will just drop. So just be careful on that one. But for me, really great card. Low cost, low damage though. But the camouflage really is the strong bet for this card. The next one is Pelacor Mercenary. So for me, looking at the base stats, it's a decent tank. I don't see really much tanks that we have for the base set that we have currently for Earth. So I think this is a decent enough addition to add into that list, and having that one armor is really good. You can compare this maybe to Golem at level 1, because Golem is 6 mana and 9 health. This one is 7 mana, but it switches that health to an armor. So I think it's a good consideration. But and you have flight as well, right? So yeah. So for me, I think this is decent addition to Earth, and I would definitely pick this card from time to time when playing that Splinter. Then lastly, so this is something, again, same situation with Leech, right? I mean, decent attack, bad health, really bad health. Like 2 health is. I don't think this card will survive. I mean, it'll just die off unless you have an enemy that doesn't have like sneak or opportunity. Then I don't know. For me, it's not something I'd recommend at base level. Maybe on higher ranks, maybe this has better stats or better abilities that would make this look even better. But for now, I just I mean, if you're gonna spend 5 mana, just go for a Goblin Chariot, right? So Goblin Chariot is almost the same with free speed and free health. Okay, the next one is Water. So Water is probably one of my most favorite Splinters at the moment, mainly because Magic really hard carries you in early fights. But right, so let's go with Venery Wavesmith. So for me, this is my top pick overall, because it's the only card that has Protect for the Water Splinter, and that Protect would really be useful when protecting your low life magic units. So you have the fairies, the 2 fairies that have 1 health. Having that 2 armor is really great for them, because that would keep them alive against those opportunity and sneak attacks. Because tendencies in most of my fights, the only reason I lose, or not the only reason, but most of the time why I lose is because those sneak attacks and opportunity attacks tend to snipe out my magic units, and they tend to have low health. So this is a great addition. There are a lot of other magic units that you can actually rent out that also have low health, and this card would really well, I guess not hard carry, but I'd say it'll really help out the team, right? So this is a must pick for me, in my opinion. So this is a great card. Next card is Jin Oceanus. Again, no questions. Like, this is the twin brother of Poseidon. As a base level, base card, this is really strong. No questions. I mean, those. What else can I say, right? I mean, it's a great card. The last card, Pelakar Bandit, it's an okay card. Slightly better card compared to other stealth units, but again, the only question I have here is, I mean, it's not exactly a question. The only concern I have here is I don't really use Water Splinter as melee build, so I don't really see myself using this card much, except the only consideration I have is if I start maybe building a deck with the Demented Shark, which Demented Shark has an Inspire effect which will give out additional 1 damage additional melee damage to the melee units. So that's the only time I might consider using Pelakar Bandit, but at the current scenario, it's not something I would use. But definitely with the current stat and abilities that it has, it is slightly better compared to other stealth. Why do you keep saying stealth? It's sneak. So compared to other sneak units, it's slightly better. Then let's go to Life, which is my second most favorite Splinter, and I'm really happy to see that they added this unit, the Venery Crystal Smith. It is the second unit, or maybe not the second unit, but it's just adding more heals to the available set. So right now we have one unit that has default heal. I forget her name, the grandmother, the one that the old woman that looks like. So it has a default heal, but that one doesn't have an attack. But this one has as a base card, which is great because if you combo that card and this card and just have a very strong tank, maybe just have that taunt tank and have 2 heals. I don't know if they can even kill it, and have the armor smith in. Maybe that card would carry it off. Of course, it's not always gonna be 100% win, but definitely that will make the life of your enemies a bit harder if they don't have enough damage to try to kill off that main tank. So I think this is a really good addition to that, and I'm gonna try this out maybe in the next games that I do for Life Splinter. The Pelakar Conjurer is actually a decent card. 2 mana, 4 health, although no attack, but it has flight. It's cheap with a good health minion that has good evasion. That's all I can say. It's like Kelp Initiate. Almost no difference, I guess, because Kelp Initiate has 5 speed, but versus this one it has flight. So I guess the trade-off is that plus the less health. But for Life, I think this is a good addition for Life because they don't have a low mana tank, right? That will go as low as this one. So it's a good one. Definitely I'll use this card from time to time, especially in low mana fights, would be very useful. Then lastly, Jin Renova. Definitely a good card, no question. I mean, I think in all of the sets, I think this is the only set that has like all of it I would really want to have if I can afford it. That's why we just need to keep working on those loot chests, right? So this is definitely something a must-have in my opinion. So no question, just if you want it, try and get it. So all of these 3 are good investments in my opinion when you're working on a Life Splinter deck. The next one is Dragon. So Dragon, honestly, I almost never use Dragon sets, and there's no available Dragon sets in the free playable deck that we have. So if ever you plan to use Dragons, then I guess in this order I would pick Naga Assassin, mainly because it's cheap and you can add this into any splinter types that you work on. It can fit to anywhere, like 2 mana, 5 speed. It's a better what's that called? I think it was a scout in the Earth Splinter that has pretty much similar stats, but it costs 1 more, like 3 mana, 1 damage, 5 speed, and 3 health, I think. And this one is just 1 mana lower than that, and that's why this card is really good. Cheap, has damage, 5 speed. Take the first damage. For me, it's great card. Second one, I think this is also very good, Jin Chwala. Although it costs a lot, but look at the stats, right? 5 armor, 9 health, 2 damage, 2 speed, and has thorns, really strong. I mean, of course, there are certain situations where you prefer to have a tank that with shield, right? Or maybe void. And for me, I mean, this is worth. I mean, not many cards have thorns as a default ability on a base level card. So for me, I think this is a good replacement to many of the existing tanks that we have in different splinters. So definitely a must pick. And lastly, Twilight Basilisk. No comments. I don't really like this type of card. For me, in my opinion, just pick other cards. I mean, although it has worn armor, that would make it last a bit longer, but there are a lot of other formatted cards there that could be better used, right? For me, I don't really. Maybe I'm not seeing it right now. Maybe if I start playing the game further with these cards in it, maybe I'd see it. But at the moment when I look at the card, it's just that it's something I wouldn't use. I wouldn't even bother. Alright, next we go for neutral. So neutral card. So Uraeus. This is something I'd say would be one of the most useful cards that I would probably use at an early deck. Or maybe a low mana deck, sorry. It's a low mana deck. It's free mana for that has 1 armor and 2 health. Although 1 damage is common for many of the sneak attack units. But this one has that armor. That armor really matters. Technically you can just replace Elven Cutthroat, one of the neutral cards. And even I'm considering to replace maybe the other cards like Cobalt Miner, for example. You can replace that because this one has armor. I mean, sure, it'll cost 1 mana more, but this has more utility compared to Cobalt Miner. Or maybe compared to I forgot the card with the sneak attack that's in Death Splinter that has 1 mana, 2 mana, 1 health. I mean, just replace this one, right? It costs a bit more, but the armor really makes it matter. So this one is a definitely must pick for me, and definitely I'll use this for any of my sneak decks. Next is Gargoyle Lion. So this is more of a situational card in my opinion. Since it has flight, then definitely I use this mostly for earthquake scenarios, but other than that, I don't really see any other situation that I would use this card. So by default, only for earthquakes, maybe I'll use this card. And lastly, Gargoyle Devil. Now this one, I don't know, it costs too much in my opinion. For a base card, I don't see much use for it. I'd rather use any other cards. There's a lot of better cards that has 7 mana or even less, right? So I don't know. Maybe in the higher ranks it would be a bit stronger because currently it's the only card that has Death Blow. Death Blow meaning it's the only card that can deal 2 damage. Twice the damage if the enemy card is the only one left alive in their set. So I don't know if that has strong usage for this card in the higher rank levels, but right now in the current base level, it just costs too much. That's it. If they made this cost a bit lower, then yeah, maybe I would have considered it, but at the moment for me it's a no-go. So base level, this one's a no-go. Alright, so that's about it. That's all of the 21 cards. So this I put in as my pick 1, pick 2, and pick 3. The only set that I would say I have different opinions on, I'd rather say like in life and what do you call this, in water, I think they're all must picks in my opinion, except for the Pelakar Bandit. But for life, definitely all of these are good picks. For For Water Splinter, the Wavesmith and Oceanus are good picks. Then for the rest, well, I guess those are the first picks, I'd say. Then I'm actually thinking about maybe Lava Launcher is the pick one compared to Exploding Rats. I don't know. I didn't realize, well, when I thinking about Exploding Rats, it can only attack the front line, right? It can't attack the middle ones or the back ones. So I don't know if the explosive ability is good enough for the cost, because 1 HP, it's like I don't know, it'll just die immediately, right? So I guess maybe you can start considering going for Lava Launcher. If you're a Fire Splinter guy, then maybe consider Exploding Rats second. Anyways, so that's what I think about. That's what I'm thinking about currently. But yeah, right now these are all my recommendations, and I'll probably look into higher ranks in the near future once I get to those levels, because right now I'm not in a position to really say like which ones are good level 4s, level 5 cards, right? I can look at them, I can tell you what I think, but experience wise I have like zero experience on these ones, so I'm just looking at the base ones and how good they are. So hopefully this video helps you out, and look out for more future videos for Splinterlands. I'm also thinking about talking about the cost efficiency of buying cards versus rents, because right now if you look at rentals, it's insane. The prices are crazy, especially for gold foil cards, and for me right now I'm thinking about like maybe I should start buying cards, because if I keep on renting, bulk of the budget of my rents are going into gold foil cards because they cost a lot. So that part we need to put into consideration in the long run. But yeah, so that's another episode I might be looking into. Then and then I'm also looking into the running duo play to earn game, which I haven't looked into yet. So hopefully I'll be able to get that video out as well. So with that, guys, thank you for watching the video, and hope to see you again in my future videos, and have a nice day.